Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on rightradio.ca. What if we got Gilmore Girls star Chance Crawford to be Nightwing? Can you see that happening? This show discusses all the latest Marvel movies.
I think we know he's gonna bond the adamantium back to Wolverine, which might get him to be the Horseman of War.
And the latest DC Comics. He's pitched that he wants to be this universe's Dick Grayson.
That's terrible. Like, I could do a better job probably.
With takes on the latest Star Wars adaptations.
Do you care if people don't like it? And the director was like, no, I don't really care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't like the show. I don't care about the Star Wars universe. And all I want to say is, why are we hiring somebody who doesn't care about what they're making?
And much, much more.
I think this is my favorite Final Fantasy.
Okay, I like to hear that.
It's just so well done and so good.
And whatnot. That is actually the opening scene of 1999.
That is
like,
amazing.
Come on, right? Like,
for a new sci-fi movie, I've seen a lot of bad movies recently, and this one is not bad by any means.
Join us every Friday on Screen Chat for a fun time, beautiful day. So make sure you go out, enjoy your F&F Fridays, already know the vibes. Some good laughs.
You were like, oh, you can't have Jensen Ackles because he's Soldier Boy, but you couldn't have Nightwing because he could be the Deep. Like, don't do this to me. Don't play this game.
And great hot takes all about pop culture. We have the one and only Sonic 06, the most underappreciated video game in human history. And I'll die on the hill. So we will see you guys then. Eldin, are you ready?
Justin, I think I'm ready. So, are you ready?
Oh, I'm definitely ready for this.
Okay.
Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on rightradio.ca. I'm your host, Justin, and with me today on air is my co-host, Eldin.
Hello. I just want to say one thing before we get started. It's a very important day. Today is the day, 22 years ago, that little Justin Atkins blessed the world.
Oh,
So I want to say happy birthday.
oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome, buddy.
Oh, man, I'm a crack. Behind the scenes today, we do have Evan, and Evan is mic'd up as well, so we'll be hearing from him as well.
I will be. I will also wish Justin a happy birthday. Very, very excited to have you here. It's a good day.
Thank you so much, guys. No, I do appreciate it. Well, cats out of the bag. It is a special birthday episode today.
You ruined your surprise.
I know, eh?
We had a cat in a bag for you.
Where?
No.
But yeah, just really happy to be here today on the birthday doing Screen Chat. Honestly, you can't ask for a better birthday gift from work, in my opinion. So I'm definitely happy to be here.
A raise is nice.
I think it's supposed to snow today as well. So good way to kick off.
My little weather widget said it was supposed to start snowing in 102 minutes.
Word, okay.
So we have about an hour and 42 minutes, and then we're good.
Yep, amen to that. Quick maths in it. This show is all about discussing the latest Marvel movies, DC Comics, Star Wars adaptations, and much, much more. Today we have a fun episode in mind. So we're going to be talking about some of the best, I guess, movie remakes and movie sequels. We'll discuss that more in-depthly soon, but this actually did stem from Eldin. So you saw a Facebook post. Why don't you tell us more about that?
In my infinite wisdom, we know I'm not the brightest guy sometimes. I saw a post saying, oh, you know, like the best movie remakes, and one of them was The Thing. And I was like, well, I was to me thinking it was saying that, and also, so it showed The Thing from like the 1980s whenever it came out, and it was showing The Thing from the 2000s, which is the remake. It was also a sequel. And it was showing that, and it said like, The Thing is so much better than the original. And I was like, how can you say that? Like the 80s was like, I think it's 80s or 70s, is amazing. Like that is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
And then I kind of clued in and realized after Kent came in and was talking to us, I think Dan mentioned it as well, that it was actually a remake of a 50s version, which I never saw, which is also a remake and a remake and a remake. So I started talking about this and thinking, we're like, hey, you know, what's really good? And then we thought, like, honestly, what kind of got me there was like also like, again, Blade is supposed to be re-releasing, and it's a new thing. I was like, okay, cool. Does it beat the OGs? Not really. Star Wars, all kinds of stuff where like the remakes or the sequels really tie in. So we have like a remakes and sequels-esque episode.
Yeah.
I also got thinking about like how easy it is to beat some of the old ones. Like I have some options on my list that are just inherently, there's no arguing against it because the technology wasn't there.
No, exactly. Right. And I think too, it makes for a cool discussion in the sense of like, you know, for example, the original Dune movie is one of my dad's favorites of all time. Like legit. So I grew up watching that movie. So I haven't even seen the new Dune ones. But to me, like the old ones, to your point, maybe doesn't even hold up.
That's what I forgot about.
And especially once you get the new ones, it's like, damn, you know, we really love Sting, not the wrestler, the singer.
Yeah.
But like, why would we go back and watch that when we get the new ones? And I think too, like, it's not even like a disrespectful thing to say about the, I guess, predecessors. It's more of like an appreciation to say, you know what, one generation got this, now let's give another generation the same magic that we did beforehand. So it's definitely a good topic of discussion there. So why don't we segue straight to it? So we're gonna kind of go back and forward with some of our remakes now.
Yep.
So what do you got for us?
I wanted to be known first and foremost. I said Justin should go first because it's his birthday, and he said I had to go first, so I tried. So we're going to start off with Clash of the Titans. Now,
this is a poll right
This
here.
is an amazing one. So the OG Clash of the Titans, and this isn't even the OG, this is like the most recent OG, does not hold up to the Clash of Titans, which we got when I was, I don't know, 10, 11. And that Clash of Titans is absolutely amazing. Like this one, 2010, I got it.
Yeah, there you go.
An amazing movie. I remember watching this on like the big screen downstairs.
Man.
Like it was so good.
I forgot about these films.
It's so amazing. Now with this being said too, so the OG one, the original wasn't like all the monsters were claymation.
Yes.
They were like poorly generated like images. That doesn't stand up. It's the same story.
Yes.
1-to-1, not exactly the same, but the premise is the same story. It's based off of Greek mythology. For me, Clash of the Titans is always a guilty pleasure for me.
Yep.
I love that actor. He was in like Avatar. He is just like one of my favorite actors for playing like niche roles that I've never seen him. Like he's always in that hero role that never leaves.
Yep.
That's
a really good poll.
Yeah, and then for me, I was like, oh man, I can't forget. Like that's amazing. But again, this is one of the things where I said concept-wise, the OG does not stand at the test of time because
you're
you had
exactly
like
right.
50, 60 years between the two, and the CGI is incredible.
Yep.
You couldn't have that.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
And it's really cool too because, like, to your point, and I know I actually so to your point about your film, I kind of made this about Dune. My dad loved the original ones.
Yeah.
So for me, like, when I grew up and I was in the 2000s, I know it's 2010, so it's the back end, but like, as much as I like the original ones, Clash of the Titans for me is this movie, and like,
and it's incredible.
It's so good, and it's one of those ones where, as cool as, let's say, you could go back and watch the classic take on it, it's cool that as much as my dad had Clash of the Titans when he was a kid, I also did.
Well,
and I think that's awesome.
I hate doing this live on air, but I'm going to look up when Clash of Titans first.
And what's cool too is that it's a story that's even told depending on where you go to high school, even in like English class too.
Yep.
I remember we did a whole like Greek mythology, and then we actually watched that movie in class.
It was 81.
Yep.
So 81, and it does not stand. It does not stand. Like it's you have 29 years, 39 years. No, 29.
81 to 2010. That
29?
would be
29 years. 29 years. And it's just, it does not stand the test of time. Now, again, like, it is what it is. I know it's kind of like, you're nitpicky to be like, well, it's obviously different. But like, again, like, it shows. And like, I think this is how you do remakes well.
Oh, I'm with you.
So that is my first one. Justin, it is your turn.
Okay, sweet.
Or I guess actually, should we ask Evan anything to say about Clash of Titans?
So funny enough, Clash of the Titans was one of the movies that came out that I was like, yo, I'm really excited for this. I didn't even know that it was a remake.
Yeah.
I just knew that it was coming out. It looked awesome. Big fan of Greek mythology and all that. So I was fully on board with this. And I'm trying to remember, the trailer got me hooked because there was a specific song that was used in the trailer.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to try and find it. I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but I remember it being amazing.
It's also like the Release the Kraken. It's also like
so
that
cool.
line came out and it's never ended.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So very good shout. Very enjoyable.
Good.
All right, sweet. So this one that I have is not only just a remake, but it is an adaptation of a story that's been told many times before and many times after. And I think objectively, as a kid in the 2000s, I feel like you had to have watched this movie. It's one of the best animated movies of the decade. I'm going to go with the 2009 version of Astro Boy. Now, this movie was so good, man. Like, is this a bad take? Like,
no, this is amazing.
Okay,
this is one of my favorite movies ever.
Okay, sweet.
I'm old school.
Such a good
there are
movie.
so many. I got machine guns in my butt. Like there are so many good. Oh my god! It is. This actually forced me to go back and try to watch the original TV show.
Yep.
and it's not doable.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
it's not doable whatsoever. But this alone, holy
Man, I just unlocked your
Justin's
memory.
I was
choice,
going to
yeah.
say, Justin, you
Well
just unlocked
done.
a core memory in Eldin.
Literally, this guy Eldin just went
Well
like
done.
jaw dropped speechless,
Yeah.
and I thought I was gonna say something horrible, but no.
you.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So I got introduced to this movie. I remember I was at one of my aunt's house and I was watching it, and I was just like, "Wow, this is like really good." And it was one of those films that, to Eldon's point, I looked into it and I'm like, "Oh, there's even more lore here," but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Dr. Elephant.
yeah. And what's so cool about it too is that, like I said, being a 2000s kid, like when you watch Astro Boy, I was 7. I'm not knowledgeable at 7 to know that this is like a remake, a retelling of a story. So I actually said to Eldon off air, I gave him an example. I was like, "Yo, does a retelling count if it's like this?"
Yeah.
I gave him an example. I'm like, is the Fantastic Four 2005 a remake of the 80s one? So once you clarified that we could do that, this was the one that I
Oh,
needed to choose.
100%. Like, and then they changed some things from the main story. Like, Astro Boy's dad is the real villain of the series
Yeah.
in the actual TV show, or I guess the anime. But like this one, I have seen this. I got when it first came out on DVD. I got it. I have memories of my dad and I going to the rental store in Finland and grabbing a copy and watching it. Like, it is so good.
I'm glad. And I'm glad that I chose
good
this.
movie. Like, well done. Like, I thought Clash Titans was a good call, but Astro Boy, got me.
I'm glad, yeah.
You got me.
I definitely recommend this movie as well, in the sense of there has been another telling of Astro Boy. I think it was a Paramount Plus TV show. I know it was an exclusive show. And it was in the 2010s.
I don't really count that.
So
Yeah.
So-
And then they also did an anime remake where it's not called Astro Boy, but it's called something else, and it's very much based off of the story of Astro Boy, but it's not the same thing. To me, this is where Astro Boy lives and dies.
yeah. And to Eldon's point, I also agree with that. So I definitely would even give this a watch 15 years later. But I'm glad. I'm glad
I
you
watched it
liked
last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Eh? Nice,
like
yeah.
or 2 years ago.
Amen to
Like,
that.
to me, it is always a feel-good movie to watch.
I'm glad. Well, I'm happy that so far we're both
Yeah.
1 for 1.
Yep.
So let's move on to your next one.
So I didn't write a script, so this is gonna be a surprise to me too, because I totally forgot what I had put up. I think I might know what it is. Oh right, it's Hellboy. Yeah. So
Ooh.
you ready for this one?
Okay.
So Hellboy, the OG, an incredible movie. We've got Ron Perlman,
Banger.
the rest of them. Just an incredible. My dad wouldn't let me watch the first 10 minutes of it because it's all like the blood sacrifice, and I didn't realize why he wouldn't let me until well later in my life. An incredible movie, and I'm saying the sequel that I also love is, you're never gonna guess what it's called. Hellboy.
No way.
And this one, I think, again, it's not the same story. I think this is more true to form of actual Hellboy in the comics.
Yes.
I think both of them are very true to form, but I love this one. I don't think it's better, but I think they're both, if you look at them standalone wise and you say, not Ron Perlman, it's instead Captain Russia, who plays the main character. I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, I always forget.
But like, he's incredible.
David Harbour.
David Harbour. Yeah, there we go. So David Harbour versus Ron Perlman. There's no competition there. Ron Perlman, the voice, whatever, it's great. But Ron Perlman aged out.
Yes.
And when I was thinking about like remakes, that I think like I didn't want to pick like Planet of the Apes because the OG is. There's no competition, right?
Yeah.
I picked Clash Titans, which is a 29-year age gap, and this one was like
15 years, I
Yeah,
think.
15,
Yeah,
and,
something
like,
like that.
I liked both of them. This one ties in the fact that Hellboy's actually the king of England.
Yes.
And like they really tied
And I
that
like
in.
that,
And
yeah.
like they had it like really they had some comic stuff they missed.
Yep.
And I loved this. And this is also like I tried to pick one that was more up to date. Like you look at Star Trek.
Yes.
Star Trek movies, like the OG Star Trek movies plus the new ones, like Wrath of Khan. Does not.
Yeah,
Wrath of
it's
Khan
night and
seeing William Shatner.
I remember
versus-
versus the new ones. Yeah, I used to watch those on my like little desktop, and I'd be like, "Damn, this is like sick." And then to your point, you then watch those on the big
Yeah.
screen, and you're like, "Oh, whoa,
Ooh.
these movies are amazing."
Yeah, so for me, Hellboy, I think, is one of the ones, and I wanted to make a point that like this is a remake of a movie that it's not been out for like 20 plus years.
Yes.
It's a recent remake, and I think that was really cool. Now, people are gonna definitely disagree with me, and I totally understand that. I'm not saying that this Hellboy is better than the other Hellboy, but for two movies that are following the same story, also the very end of this Hellboy, if spoilers if you haven't seen the end, it's been out for a long time, but
I've seen it.
when all the demons come out from hell,
Yep.
that is so gory and so cool.
It's such a cool scene.
Like it is so, and like the one that just walks through the Bridge of London, like it is so good.
Yep.
And you didn't have that in the OG Hellboy. Now you did have the big Celestials, but I like the way they did in this one.
Yep.
So for me, that is my take.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I really like that take. What's cool too is that like I'm old enough to remember the first one that you brought up. In the sense of, I feel like there was actually two movies.
There was Hellboy and the Golden Army.
Yeah, so the Golden Army. So I do remember those. And I think with this one, I was so skeptical.
I don't talk about Golden Army because I was like, ooh, that's if I doesn't have that, you'll see.
Okay, yeah. That's right.
I love it though.
But anyways, I will say though that it's a cool show because, to Eldon's point, they weren't redone so far apart, like decades later. Those two movies is for one generation, like in the sense of
I think
like
2004 Hellboy came out.
Yeah.
So you were.
I was 2, but I do remember growing up
and
watching
then
it.
Hellboy, the other one was 2019.
Oh wow, yeah. So
So
it's like,
you only had 15 years.
Yeah.
15
wow,
years
I got
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
then if you count Golden Army came out in. I think it said here. Golden Army came out shortly thereafter. It wasn't too long. And I love Golden Army. It's a great movie. Golden Army came out in. What was it going to tell me?
I used to watch them all the time on AMC. They'd have them.
2008.
I feel like I probably grew up with that one a
G.
bit more.
It's definitely not rated G.
Definitely not.
And then also the newest one just came out, which is Hellboy and the Crooked Man, which is a small studio that did that. That's 2024. So like, there's been some animated TV shows and the comics, but yeah, I love it honestly.
Yep, that's a really good shout. Okay,
Anything
cool.
from you, Evan?
Oh, yeah,
So
we'll spin
I
that
was
in.
in the camp of, I watched the original Hellboy.
Yep.
It was amazing. I loved it. Ron Perlman did a
great.
fantastic job. I saw this coming out and I refused to watch it because it wasn't Ron Perlman.
Oh, okay.
And as much as I enjoy David Harbour, I was like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm not watching this new Hellboy.
Yeah.
But I also respect that you think it's amazing.
It's very much watch the.
And honestly, I didn't even look at reviews. I didn't know if it was good, if it was bad, or anything.
Yeah.
So, your vote of confidence gives me the impression that
It's on
I should
Prime.
watch
It's on
this.
Prime, so I'd recommend it. It
Sweet.
should be. Okay.
Okay, cool.
You're in charge.
So my next one is this is probably my biggest hot take of the episode, and we'll get into it, but I'll die on it. Now, I think the biggest challenge in film, including TV shows as well, is retelling a story that's already been told countless times in various media, and how do you hit it on the nail, or the nail on the head? I use this example with Star Wars. Like, as cool as Obi-Wan Season 1 was, the suspense for me wasn't all there because we know what happens. Same with I almost called it Andor, but same with Rogue One.
Yep.
As cool as Rogue One is as a movie, it's kind of hard for me to enjoy it because, again, you know what's going to happen going into it. So let me now take that kind of formula and what is the best version of that? Now, for me, this is the hot take because I'm going to go with this version of the Spider-Man story, and I'm going to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man. I would say that
Okay.
as cool as the previous, I guess you could go, movies with Tobey Maguire. I'm not going to count Tom Holland because this is before that. So the Tobey Maguire movies are really good. I read a lot of Spider-Man comics growing up as well. I played the games. I watched the shows, the spin-off shows. I was really heavy into Spider-Man. So for me, this is the best remake of Spider-Man, or the best retelling. And I say this because it made superheroes look cool. And like, I don't know how else to say this without like trying to sound like one of those like internet narcs, but like the way Andrew Garfield told his Spider-Man story made me want to get a Spider-Man lunchbox in like middle school. You know, like the way he was able to portray this character, where if you're like me and you read a lot of Spider-Man comics, was very one-to-one to the comics. He obviously was a little bit too cool for school, because when we're talking about Andrew Garfield, we're talking about one of the most popular, the most prominent, and just one of the biggest actors of his generation. I know like that's crazy to say, but like this guy did Spider-Man and The Social Network pretty much back to back in their own rights, two of the biggest films of their genre. And I would say that as cool as Tobey Maguire's movies were for like the 2000s, I do think some stuff doesn't age as well. And I think nostalgia really blinds it. And I do think too, now with Tom Holland, he didn't even get this treatment. They didn't even do the whole origin story. They just threw him in there and he gets the Avengers tax. So with Andrew Garfield, getting the story from the start. He gets his origin story. He gets the hardship.
Yep.
He also got a movie canceled too, which like is so unfair. I just think for me that's the best. And I will say though, the only gripe I had about it is I hate calling it TASM. Like, you know what? Like, Sony, drop just Amazing Spider-Man. It sounds clean. So, Eldin, what do you have to say? Whoa. But all jokes aside, what are you
couldn't
thinking?
agree more.
Okay.
I think, to me, this Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
Yes.
I love Tobey Maguire. I love Andrew Garfield. I love Tom Holland, but for me, the story of Spider-Man is this Spider-Man.
Yes.
And it's definitely worth it. I think if you haven't watched this one already, if you've seen Tom Holland's, I think it's worth a watch. And like, I had been the one who saw Tobey Maguire's first 3 movies.
Yep.
Didn't see both of these, and then went on to
Tom Holland. Yeah.
Tom Holland. And I was like, oh, okay, Andrew Garfield. And I love him. He's fantastic. Again, he feels like Spider-Man.
Yes.
But also Spider-Man from like the early 90s TV show, where he's like almost a grown man. He's not a kid. Because he is like, he's kind of ending his career as high school. Like, I prefer Spider-Man being older, because like the high school Spider-Man gets old after a while.
Exactly.
Like, we get it. Okay, cool, whatever. But I think this is fantastic. So you're 2 for 2 so far.
Okay, I'm glad.
2 for
really
2.
glad.
Yep.
Evan will come to you on this.
You just said this is fantastic. It's amazing. So let me just tell you.
Say that again. It's fantastic.
So I'm in the camp when this came out. I adored the Tobey Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. And when this came out, I was like, I can't. I actually can't. And that's the thing. I went in going into it being like, yes, this is it. This is the next installment of Spider-Man. It's going to be great. And I was also, he's too cool.
Yep.
He is way too cool to be the new Spider-Man. And I will still stand by this. Tobey is the best Peter Parker. Andrew is the best Spider-Man. And Tom is the best combination of the two. That is what I'm going to say.
I'm good with that.
Because I agree, this is an amazing Spider-Man, but Andrew is not a good
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker. At least I thought that way until I saw the animated Amazing Spider-Man, and I started to dive into the Amazing Spider-Man comic books, where Peter Parker is not as nerdy and not as dorky as he is. He still retains the intelligence, but he still has that mentality of he's being picked on in school, and you kind of don't know why. Because he's like, man, you're actually like a really decent human, and I just don't know why you're being picked on for no reason. So I think this is the best true to life in terms of representation from the comic books. And I realistically, no matter what, all the Spider-Men are fantastic and amazing. So
say that again.
Fantastic and amazing. We'll get him in there. Oh man. So that is what I think about Spider-Man. I'm actually really glad you chose this one.
All right, amen to that. Well, Eldin, we're throwing the ball back to you.
Thank God I've got the next one ready for me. So, after all that wordplay, I'm talking about one of the tale as old as time, a movie that takes you back to what the wrong one, to what everyone thinks, everyone wants. What if when you go back to a kid, and I said the word pirate, would you not jump at that and be like, I want to be a pirate?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to Treasure Island.
Oh.
Now, I could have gone 2 ways with this. This is Disney's Treasure Island. I could have
Okay.
gone Treasure Planet, and I want to say it's an honorable mention. It's a
Okay.
huge mention. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. Treasure Planet, I love it.
That's not satire, right? That
No,
shit
I
in?
actually
sweet.
love Treasure
Yeah,
Planet.
Make sure you watch it then, yeah?
But I decided to go with another adaptation.
Okay.
And go with one of my all-time favorite movies ever. And here we go. Muppets Treasure Island. One of the funniest, and like my humor might be destroyed, I might be broken, I could be elderly, it does not matter. This movie alone is incredible.
Nice.
You got the tale of Treasure Planet and Treasure Island mixed in. It's the same tale, right?
Yep.
But you have Kermit the Frog as the captain. You have Miss Piggy. You have Rizzo the Rat selling cruise tickets the entire time.
Yep.
You have every shot, these little rats in the background, jet skiing or drinking or doing something they shouldn't be doing. You have Gonzo and the chicken. You have Fozzie Bear talking to his Pinky. You have so many, and then you have incredible stars. Like, this movie is insane. Like, the fact of the matter is, like, you go back and watch Muppets like Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
You have A-list actors.
You
who
do, yeah.
are humongous. You have Alfred playing. I hate forgetting their name, but he's knighted. Like, it's amazing. Like, this to me as a kid, I loved it. I still have it on VHS.
Nice.
I've watched it in my adult life in the last 2 years. It's hilarious. Like, I love the Muppets. I'll die on the hill that the Muppets are hilarious. And like Treasure Island, it's an old story.
Yeah.
The reason why I didn't compare this to Treasure Planet is because Treasure Planet is a retelling, but it's also so much better. And Muppets Treasure Island sticks closer to the theme without being like super theatrical and like sci-fi-y. And like I love Treasure Planet, don't get me wrong. Still have the DVD, love it. I still have actually have I have an old like Disney comic that still shows some panels before it came out.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Nice.
But for me, this is just I can't watch it with smiling. Like
No.
if I'm feeling down, this is getting me back up.
That's a great shout. I think what's so cool is that they were able to muppify the story. You know,
Yep.
no trolls, but like it would be like if you took something that, not saying you specifically, but if
Yeah.
you took something that you didn't really care about, but then add your favorite characters to it to advance the story. That's really what this is. Because
just so
to me, like maybe I'm showing my age
Let's
here.
see when it released.
I didn't love, or let me rephrase this. I didn't really grow up with Treasure Island, so like that
Okay.
movie to me doesn't mean a lot, but this one does because
Yep.
like it's the Muppets, like it's amazing. I probably watched this in middle school, definitely watch this at home, and I think too like this is just a franchise that it doesn't matter what age you are. There's always room for the Muppets.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And like it's got Tim Curry. Like Tim Curry is one of the biggest actors that we've ever seen. He's now I think he's passed unfortunately.
oh, rest in peace.
But 1996 it
That's
came
not
out.
bad, yeah.
And then Treasure Island, if I just look up Treasure Island, which is also Disney's, is old. Well, I think
it's
so.
like in the 80s, no?
Well, that one brought me to Muppets again. It is. I don't know if I can find it. Well, it's a book. It's a bad book. People only rate it 3 out of 5.
Wait, no, that's Cap. The book's really good. I've actually read the book. Fun fact for you guys.
Did you watch it? Did you read it Muppified or no?
No, genuinely, I read the original book. I have it.
Oh.
That's one of the books that I actually have read, believe it or not,
I
guys.
wish you had read the Muppet.
Don't
1950.
give up on us. I was so off. I said the
1950.
80s. Oh my god.
Yep. So you got 46 years,
Yeah.
and all we got was Muppets, and I am overjoyed.
No, that's a great shout. For me, like one thing that I could relate to is how Eldin feels about that story. It's how I feel about Tom and Jerry's The Nutcracker.
Yep.
It's like the same kind of concept, right? It's like for me, I love Tom and Jerry. I don't mind the Nutcracker story, but the Tom and Jerry version is like
It's just
peak.
better.
And I think this is a great example because it doesn't matter for 7, 17, 27. We can watch this and like have a laugh. So
I will watch it.
Yeah,
I might watch it this weekend actually.
you might have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You went to that. Well, that's a great shout, Evan. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's time to just like, I don't know if this is going to hurt you, Eldon. I'm sorry. But I own this movie.
Oh,
Okay.
yay!
I have seen it exactly once,
Okay.
and I've never thought about revisiting it.
Okay.
But it's a good show.
One
And
could say that you walked away in silence.
I did walk away in silence.
Scott Stapp wouldn't be happy with that, man. You gave up on them and you
But
gave up on us.
I'm really glad that Eldon mentioned Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
Because I love Treasure Planet.
Yep.
If this is the movie that rebuilds Eldon in any situation, Treasure Planet's the movie that rebuilds Evan in every
Yep.
situation.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah, I appreciate your love for the movie, and you
try.
know what? I think
Yeah.
it's I think
They're both amazing.
They're
will say,
both
they're both
outstanding.
amazing, and I think revisiting them, it can be a lot of fun. I find it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit of a boomer when I'm like,
A boomer.
I'm like, oh, they said it. Like it's just there's parts in the movie where I'm waiting and I'm like, this is gonna happen. Whereas those selling cruise tickets, it's just stuff in the background. It's the satire that gets me. And, like the dry
Amazing.
humor gets me. But you're in charge, my friend. What's next?
Before we fully move on, I have a question about that movie.
Okay.
Is Bleecker in it?
Is Beaker?
Beaker. Does that say Bleecker?
Yeah.
Beaker's in it?
Yeah, they should both be. I'm pretty sure they're both in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun fact for you, canonically, in both the Muppets universe and the WWE universe, Beaker and Sheamus are cousins.
Yes.
Take that as
That
you will.
makes sense. Seamus, I can tell you, was not
Okay.
in this movie.
That's totally fair.
Unfortunately.
So moving on to so this is my final remake. Now, you're going to be disappointed because you did just name drop it a couple of minutes ago. But I've actually gone with the Rise of the Planets of the Apes. Now, I'm going to give you my take on this, okay?
Wow.
I'm just going to give you my take. For me, when I was a kid, I'd always hear about the original film. So this came out in 2009.
Original films give me nightmares.
Here's my take, right? I just wasn't really too impressed with the original ones, but that's because I was younger and I was naive. I didn't realize, how technology and stuff worked. So imagine, in the 2000s, little Justin hearing all about this great, amazing franchise that I just don't really care about. So now, 2009, I'm seeing Harry Osborn in a Planet of the Apes movie. Okay, let me go into this and have little to no expectations because, again, I previously don't really like the franchise, and I'm just blown away. This is a fantastic movie, not to take your wordplay, And I just think that this trilogy, because it is 3 movies in this one, right?
I think 4.
Is it 4? Yeah.
Because now we have, like, if you count with Caesar being alive, I think it's 3.
With Caesar, yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 new films with Caesar.
Andy Serkis.
It is, yep.
Saying.
Who actually recently got announced that he was going to be at Vancouver Fan Expo.
We're going.
We're going.
Call your aunt.
I'll pull up.
Yeah.
Just to remind me, this is James Cameron that does these ones, right?
I
forget. I think it is.
Maybe.
I want to say it is. It's cool when you see an adaptation of such a classic film get a modern, I guess. Oh wow, no, that was
Don't touch the window.
just a modern retwist, and it was so good that it's then been booked on for another 3 movies in the same universe.
Yes.
So I think that really stands for. I know Eldin said that he didn't want to put that one in, but for me, the reason why I did is because it enhances such a huge. Call me a
The
nerd.
director is Rupert Wyatt.
Why did I get where did I get James Cameron from?
James Franco.
Maybe I was just ripped. Hey, I'm getting ripped tonight.
Yeah, Rupert Wyatt.
But
he's done a great job. Good job, Rupert. He's balding very badly.
Regardless of Rupert, I will say that
Whoop.
it takes a franchise that spawned generations, and I think now makes this series franchise again, in the sense of, like, if we compare it to Star Wars, I'd say objectively the Planet of the Apes trilogy is better than the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Well, look, you got CGI versus people wearing monkey suits. And I hate, like, that's what terrified me as a child.
Yeah.
Was men and women dressed up as apes with, like, the big ape face.
But I
and,
think
like,
that's why it's so good, because
terrifying.
because it's like, you know what, this is what we had before. How do we keep this alive and serious? And they did this.
to put it in perspective, when I saw it, my mom was like, it's just like Chewbacca. It's just like Chewbacca. And I'm like, that's not Chewbacca. It terrified me.
Oh man, that's too funny.
Like, I would rather meet a Wookiee than those Planet of the, like, not this one, but the original one.
That's funny.
I would die of shock. I'd have a panic attack.
Amen to that. Well, yeah,
I
that's
might
my,
have a panic attack right now.
that's my take
trauma.
on Rise. Evan, do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, man. I haven't seen a single Planet of the Apes movie, I don't think.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
Wow.
You should watch the newest one. One of my friends is actually in it as a backup actor.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You should check it out.
Nice. Who's your friend?
It's one of my boys, E-Man. Yo, shout out E-Man. I
Yo,
know,
E-Man.
I know you're in the newest Planet of the Apes movie, so just had to put them on, bro, so you could watch it.
Sweet. Okay, I'll take my time of commenting on this movie that I haven't seen and just say, you know what? Eldin has been beaming, like, ever since we started talking about Astro Boy, and I'll just like to call attention to that.
Thanks, man.
Amen.
I'm trying.
Well, I guess is this the part where we move on to sequels? Is that how
Yeah.
we're feeling?
Yep. Start with sequels
Sweet.
now.
So,
Just to recap, before we move on, okay, so I talked about Hellboy, Clash of Titans, and Treasure Island. Justin, you talked about
Astro Boy, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Rise of the Planets of the Apes. And
do I have a one? What?
oh, we're getting word now that we actually have one
Oh
more.
yeah, like I have. So like when it comes to the sequels, I still have 3 other ones that I want. I still, like, never moving on to the sequels. Like that picture's for the sequels part, the single. Yeah, that's the whole picture. Yeah, my bad.
So
I want to give some shout outs though that we didn't
Okay.
talk about. We didn't have a chance to talk about. We talked about. I mentioned, like, Judge Dredd or Dredd.
Oh, peak. Both of them, Stallone and Urban. Oh my
Yep.
god.
The Thing.
Yep.
The Mummy.
Oh yeah.
The one that wasn't with
With our boy
Short King.
Brandon Fraser.
Yeah, so the newer one.
Oh, the newer one. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, King Kong. Godzilla. The American release from, like, 2000 or 1999. RoboCop.
Oh my god, that's a
Peach
shout.
Dragon.
Yeah. Oh, can I give one quickly?
Yeah.
How did neither of us say Total Recall?
Yes, I've never actually seen either one.
Oh, you haven't?
No, that's why I didn't talk about
If
it.
my dad's watching this, he'd be disappointed. There you go. Total Recall
Yep.
is by far, like, the only thing that's hard about that, real quick, is that they're both so good.
They are. And, like, that's what I've heard. They both have, like, high ratings.
Yep.
And then Dune and then Star Trek.
Amen to that.
And those ones are huge ones that we didn't have a chance to mention. So now for
sure.
the sequels.
Okay, cool. Shall I head first?
Oh yeah, well, you go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this we're going back to the animated world. This sequel, to me, I think you really got to put yourself in my shoes. You know, me and my brothers love this
I'm
franchise.
not gonna fit in your shoes.
I don't think you could
No,
actually.
you can fit my shoes.
I could.
Yeah.
And I was actually revisiting this franchise recently, and I still think, hot take, this is one of the best animated sequels of my time, to where, like, I might even put it, like, above most animated sequels.
Okay.
I'm going with Kung Fu Panda 2. This movie was so peak.
Yep.
And, like, I don't even mean to use the word peak because of Peacock, Lord Shen. Did you not see the peacocks on the front door? But it was so good because the first one was so good, and I just think that like it's kind of like the Mario Galaxy conundrum, you know?
Twice the awesomeness.
How do you have Kung Fu Panda 1 and do it better? And I just think objectively, this is the best film in the franchise.
And like, this is a pretty big story. Like Peacock like wiped out.
The pandas. Yeah.
He killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is a mean
He
peacock.
killed the masters too that were still alive. He wiped out Poe's family. He killed his mom.
Well, he wiped out Poe's family.
Well, yeah.
Check out Kung Fu Panda 3.
Yeah, 3. You find out his dad's still alive.
Yeah. Shh. What if they hadn't watched it yet?
Spoilers.
Yeah.
But-
Thanks, Justin. You ruined your
It's been
birthday.
out for like 10 years.
You ruined your birthday.
Whoa, whoa. But I remember watching this movie in the theaters. I was with my dad, my brothers, watching in 3D, and it was just so good, man. And it was one of those movies where like, oh, like going to like Gongman City, trying to break in. Yeah, it was so good. I think for me, like this is done by DreamWorks. Now, I really like the Shrek franchise. I really do.
Yep.
But I will die on the hill that this is the best part 2. Like Shrek 2 is really good.
I think Shrek 2's better.
That's fair, but
But just comparatively.
Yeah.
Like, because I think Kung Fu Panda 1 was so good.
I think that like this is like, oh man, I almost want to say it that this is the best DreamWorks film ever. Like I'd
Oh,
almost
man.
put it up there.
You're
Hot
opening
take.
a big can of
But
worms
like
there.
the only one I'd maybe put above it is Megamind. That's just me. I like Shrek. I do. Shrek's like third. Not Shrek the third, but like Shrek number 1 could be number 3 because I really like the movie. We were just talking about it this morning.
I can't wait for Shrek the Fifth Wheel.
I can't wait. Yeah, that'll be good. But this film is so good. I literally could do a whole episode on DreamWorks, specifically the Kung Fu Panda franchise alone. But yeah, this film to me, like one of the best animated sequels that I grew up with.
Okay.
I
People
think
can be
eventually we are going to have to do a DreamWorks special
Think we
episode.
should.
And
Bracket.
we'll talk about all 5 of every major franchise.
We're not going to
5.
leave.
Special 3-hour episode.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, that's my first one for you.
I think for me, I don't disagree that Kung Fu Panda 2 is better than Kung Fu Panda 1. I think that if you were to say Shrek 1 versus Shrek 2 is just really, really good. I really like Shrek 2.
And that's fair. That's fair.
And like even like with the DVD when you can do like the post, like that's my thing too with these movies. This is now gone. It's lost art.
Yep.
Was the games on DVDs.
I miss those.
They're gone.
Yeah.
But like getting to play America's Got Talent in Shrek 2 and have Simon Cowell just berate the wolf and the 3 little pigs. Like he was ruthless.
Yeah.
And if you pick somebody he didn't like, he just had one.
Yeah.
Like it was so fun though.
Literally. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda 2 for me, one
Yep.
of the best sequels of all time. Let's move on to yours.
So, Evan, I have 3. It doesn't matter which one you put up. Whatever's in order, we'll go with it.
I'm going to guess it's... You're going to have to tell me.
Let's go with Predator.
Predator. Okay.
Yep.
Ooh.
So
Oh.
I have Predator
Wait.
so this is the one that this is all based off of. Okay, so Predator happens,
Okay. Yep.
and then we get one of my all-time favorite movies ever, Predators. Now, have you seen it?
Yes. Yes.
So Predators takes place on a planet. You have people. You have a Spetsnaz. You have like an SAS. You have Secret Service. You have a guy who's a bounty hunter. You have Machete, who's playing as like a Mexican cartel guy. Like you have so many cool actors in this. This movie, we got it on DVD, my dad and I, and we watched it, and it was so good. That night, my dad kept making the Predator clicking sounds just to freak me out. It was not a good night, but it was it's such a good movie. And then you watch like The Predator, garbage.
Yep.
Predator 2, I think is good. I think it's okay. You're in a city, it's different things.
Excuse me,
Predator
sorry.
3, I don't really even. I think that counts as. I think this is Predator 3 technically.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to me, this is so good.
What's
And,
really
like,
cool
it's
about
just
it
amazing.
is that I feel like this franchise is so. It's so weird to say this, right? Because like it's obviously about aliens, but it's
Yeah.
so diverse in the setting.
It's oversaturated sometimes,
Yeah, that's fair.
but then you get times like this
Yes.
when it's not.
And I had such a jump scare because when I saw the original one, I was like, "Wait, are you counting Prey as movie number one?"
I was thinking about it,
because
but
I'm
no.
like, "Is
Yeah.
this the sequel that's good?" Because
Yeah.
I really like the first one.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what I grew up with that
The
more than this
iconic,
one.
like, like that iconic is
Wait,
so
here.
good.
Do it high. Circle over.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, no. So
Billy.
I really like this franchise, and what's cool is that
Yeah.
we've had this discussion before. I think objectively, right? Like Predator or the one. Okay, what's the one that's objectively the worst?
I mean, you could say AVP.
Yeah, so not counting that. Like
Predator 2, I think, is arguably the worst.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I'd say objectively, if you're
Or
not
The Predator, the
Okay.
newest one.
So if you're not saying
Well, not the newest.
if you're not saying The Predator is your favorite movie from this franchise, I think objectively it doesn't matter which one you have. They're
You're right.
all good, and you all have different like I guess like stories with it, different times you've watched the film. Like for example, with you just said you and your dad rented this out, watched it probably Friday night. He's making all the sounds. Like that's something that's just gonna live with you. And I think what's cool is that this movie, at least from what I remember, lives like could still be watchable today.
So
like
good.
it's so
and you
good.
have you have 3 Predators. You have a hunting
yeah,
party
and
of
that
3.
too. I was
And,
gonna-
you've never had this before, so having that is and just like the art. It's so simplistic,
Yep.
but it's so good.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad this shout was in here. Evan, have you seen this adaptation or this sequel, I should say?
I don't think I've seen a single Predator movie.
Wow.
I know. Funny enough, I actually only saw Alien and Aliens maybe a few years ago.
Yep.
So
They're also in this and Prey. They're all in the same category of like great sci-fi movies that I think people should watch.
yeah.
Man.
So for context, that is also why I haven't seen Predators.
Yeah.
It's just was never really introduced to it.
Yep, fair.
So when I was introduced to Alien, I watched it and I thought it was great, and then I was told this is really good, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
It's amazing. So that's another thing to watch this weekend.
Sweet. Okay, so moving on to mine.
Yep.
So
I'm keeping track of yours, by the way.
Oh, good.
They've been great so far.
So these next two are, I'm gonna be real, they're pretty mainstream, and I can't talk about sequels without talking about these two films because they're like some of, if not my favorite 2 movies of all time.
Okay, I think I already know.
So I'm gonna have to start off obviously with episode 3, just Revenge of the Sith. I could go on about this movie forever.
I picked this too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sweet.
You
let's
now
have-
understand why I was confused.
Yep. I picked Star Wars Episode 2 and 3.
Okay, so let's have a conversation about
Yep.
this then. I think for me, and I guess you too, as Star Wars fans, this is the peak experience. And like,
Yep.
as cool as the previous, I guess, 4, 5, and 6 were,
Yep.
and Phantom Menace was, because Phantom Menace was revolutionary. I genuinely think the way fans of Lord of the Rings rave about Return of the King is the same way us Star Wars fans rave about this movie.
I could not agree more.
Yeah. And I think, and honestly, this is one of the few sci-fi movies, because objectively that's what it kind of is,
Yep.
that actually ages. And I don't say that to be like funny, because this got a lot of criticism back in the day.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen was blacklisted from Star Wars. We never got Kenobi until with Ewan McGregor until recently.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman never came back. Like this was high-profile actors
Yeah.
that objectively were what seemed to be hated by the fans. But more recently, those same actors and characters got a lot of love because the people my age that these movies were made for, we
Oh, yeah.
grew up.
Yeah.
We grew up and we got a social platform to
we love
voice
them.
these opinions.
Yeah.
And it's like what Star Wars was in the 2000s is a lot more than just episodes 1, 2, and 3. It was a TV show.
Yep.
There were spin-off games, retelling games such as the Lego Star Wars
Oh
games.
my god.
There were, I guess, non-canon comics, canon comics.
And we're all canon at one point.
Yeah. And it got to the point where
Lucas, why?
I think just the christening moment of Star Wars, I've really and truly to me is episode 3. So that's
I
kind of my
could not
take on
agree
it.
more.
Yeah.
For me, growing up with 4, 5, and 6, as my dad watched it and then showed me, we had them on VHS, and then having 1 come out on VHS and watching that, having 2 and 3 come out, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I love the clones so much. And then like Clone Wars, if you don't get episode 3 and 2, like episode 2, first of all,
Look at this sick
Django.
poster, man. Oh
Like,
my god.
this is amazing. And, like I just the first release of the clones, like this, without these 2 movies, I think Star Wars dies.
And I fully agree.
I think if we only had 4, 5, and 6,
Yeah.
and we got nothing for prequels, that's it. That's all.
I fully agree. And I'll die on the hill too. I'm actually a Star Wars fan because of episode 2.
Yeah.
You know, this
How good Ewan McGregor looks.
I know it's so peak.
That's Jesus right there. Look at that.
As much as, episode 3 is like one of, if not my number 1 movie ever, this movie, to your point, really revived it for me. We got Attack of the Clones that leads to the Clone Wars TV show.
I'm just a man trying to make his way through the galaxy.
No, man, it's so cool. You got one of the most iconic characters ever with Jango Fett and Boba Fett. And it's almost like the perfect, I guess, middle movie. I mean, maybe not the perfect one because we'll hear my future take. However, it's a movie that was so solid that kind of solidified that Star Wars was back.
Yep.
And to your point, they couldn't really miss on this one because also like an underrated fact about this movie is that it was the first Star Wars movie, obviously, that took place in the 21st century.
Yep.
So Phantom Menace was still riding the 90s. It was 1999.
Yep.
We're entering a new generation putting this one out. And if this movie fails, we probably don't get episode 3, to your point.
Nope.
So those two back-to-back are definitely great shouts. Evan, sorry for the confusion. For some context, we didn't inform each other what we picked. So
for sure.
Evan was
That's
like,
all right.
Okay, that makes sense to why there was multiple.
That's why I was like,
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. Honestly, you couldn't have picked. Star Wars was a given.
Yep.
You guys, we
Yep.
were going to talk about it no matter what because it's Star Wars. And it's the prequel that everyone dislikes. Funny enough, I went to go see all 3 of these movies in theaters with my dad.
Yeah.
And I get the hate. Some of the lines don't make sense. And if we're talking about the second movie, then we're talking about I hate sand. Of course, it gets everywhere. Blah,
I don't
blah,
like
blah.
sand.
And then you dive into it, and you're like, wow, no, there's a really strong reason why
My
he
mother's
doesn't
being
like
tortured
sand.
by Tuscans.
100%.
Yeah.
And then obviously with episode 3, we get one of the greatest Star Wars lightsaber duels ever.
Yep.
And it's still there, even with all the most recent lightsaber battles.
Yeah.
Like I'm concerned we are never going to get a Star Wars battle as good as this one ever again.
No, I don't think
We wouldn't
will.
get Kenobi, and Kenobi, I think, had one of the best fight scenes.
Yep.
And we would have got that without this.
And even to backpack on that point too, in my humble opinion, I do think Kenobi is the best Disney Star Wars show for Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
You know, I think objectively you could say maybe Andor's better, maybe even The Mandalorian. However, you know, as a 2000s kid watching Kenobi, it's like this is all I wanted. Star Wars could end right now and I'd be okay. And I really mean that. It's like to Eldon's point, it's like we were able to.
they just brought Thrawn back.
I know that's fair, but we were able to get like those characters
I guess.
back that really made us fall.
Please
in love
don't
with
end.
the
Please don't end Star Wars.
Yeah, please don't. But the fact that like we got a chance to get those characters back, I think means a lot.
Oh,
so
it's amazing. Yeah.
I'm glad we're able to discuss that. Now,
All right,
so I guess that each
we'll
means
count
we have,
that as we
Yeah,
have one
that's
left
right.
each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll talk about mine. So mine is a one picture, and it, funny enough, ties into my first choice of the day. So we had Clash of Titans. Now I want to mention Wrath of the Titans.
Oh my god, this
Which
movie's so good.
Is so good. It's like basically God of War,
Yeah.
but it's just so much better than like just instead of like playing it, you're watching it.
Yeah.
And like it's in the sense of like again, the story's written for you. If this was a game, I'd play this game.
Yep.
This movie is incredible.
It's so good.
I think it stands the test of time as well.
It does.
It like you have like the chimera with the 2 heads breathing fire, and like him having to dust his armor off. He's been retired. He has a kid now, and then it's so good.
Yep.
And like just like it for me, like this is again, there was all that period where we all went through like Greek mythology. I don't think any young man or woman dodged that bullet.
Yep.
You might have been into
It was
horses, but
impossible,
you were
yeah.
still there. Like it was my Roman Empire, but Greek. No, that's England.
Ah,
Yeah, and France.
we don't have terms.
We do not have terms. Kingdom of Heaven, terrible movie. Check it out.
Amazing movie. Orlando
Anyway,
Bloom.
so you haven't seen it.
Ed Norton.
Yeah. Oh, Freddy's in that too. Just amazing though, right? You throw me off. I love this movie. It is for me. If I go back and watch it the first time, I would be awestruck.
What I really like about these 2 picks from you is that these are movies that were like in high rotation in my childhood, and I just don't think I've seen them recently enough to fully appreciate them and remember and this is why you bringing it up means a lot, because it's almost like the love that I had for this franchise is now like coming back. And to your point, right, like I'm a huge fan of God of War, like the video games obviously, and like for what I like with Greek mythology, this is it on the big screen. And I think it's such a good pull from you.
Again, this is always like I'm the oldest of 3, and a bit of a
same, actually.
embarrassment. Not even embarrassing, but embarrassing. When I was a kid, we would watch this, and then we'd go outside, and we'd hook up like sticks or something, because like we grew up in a big area. My dad cut willow for a living, so we'd have things that look like swords, and I would just pretend I was in this universe. And I was up until like I was probably 14. But you know what? Let me live my days. I'm gonna have a good time with it. I was Eldin. I was awkward. Like I needed some like outlets, and this for me was an outlet.
That's amazing, man. It's such a cool movie in the sense of like, like not trying to sound like that, but I feel like the casual take of the 2000s was 300. But if you knew, you choose Clash of the Titans.
But like
And
300, it doesn't have any. It has like a rhino. That's about
Yeah,
it.
no,
it's
yeah,
not a really
that's
big.
fair.
It's not a really fat guy.
But I think
Looks
for like
kind of weird.
this kind of movie, the way it was, I guess even shot in the vibe, It was oh man, Wrath of Titans was so good. That's a
It's
really good
amazing.
call from you.
I'm gonna probably have to watch both of these.
Yep, honestly, there you go.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I guess we're moving on to my final
Your
one. Actually,
final
before
one.
we do, Evan, coming to you back. So you said you haven't seen the Clash movies, right?
Well, no, I have seen Clash of the Titans because when that was coming out, I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my
that's what
life."
you said. My bad. My bad.
But I actually never saw Wrath of the Titans.
Word. Yeah, that's another good one.
So that's the other thing. So I've saw the first one. I just haven't seen the second one. But same thing. Greek mythology is amazing. Don't worry, I was 14 too, walking around grabbing sticks and stuff.
Good.
Like we've all been there. It was a good time. So yeah,
44 doing it still probably.
more than likely. I feel like no matter what, you're gonna walk a trail, find a stick, and be like, "Yes, this is a good one.
I am the king.
Hey, this is mine now."
Okay, cool. So moving on to the final movie of the day.
Better be good.
It's
You've been good so far.
I mean, one could say it's dark. So I'm have to go with The Dark Knight. The greatest movie of all time, if you ask me. But all jokes aside, this movie is so good. And
Of all time.
if you, as a Batman fan, Batman Begins, great film. But what this does with Christian Bale, and I'm just gonna read the names: Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman's in there too. Even Maggie Gyllenhaal, who I always forget is Rachel,
Is that Jake Gyllenhaal's?
ex-wife.
Oh, okay.
And then also Morgan Freeman, obviously.
I'm Morgan Freeman.
And yeah, it just and Michael Caine too. Shout out Michael Caine.
Yeah.
I love this movie so much.
Sir Michael Caine.
Yeah, Sir Michael Caine.
He's
There
also
you
in
go.
Muppets, so you know he's good.
Yep. It's just one of the you know what this movie did, and the reason why this is so high on my list is because it made superhero movies cool again. And I'll tell you what, right? As cool as Tobey Maguire's movies are from 2000s and the Fantastic Four movies are, and even Iron Man and the Hulk, those movies are not like generational films. This by far is a generational movie. When Christopher Nolan dropped The Dark Knight, it like, I don't know, man. It's one of those films that like, how do you get Christopher Nolan to do superheroes and make something that good? And it was just number one.
I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but I think superheroes have always been cool. I think now they're not, though.
Okay, that's fair. Because you know what? We're waiting for the Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson to bring
Yep.
it back. I think Batman is the biggest security blanket in all of superheroes.
It's just easy.
And
You can't get it wrong.
But when you do it so right like this, it's so good.
Yeah.
And we also get one of the best actor performances of all time with Heath Ledger's Joker.
So good.
Nothing comes close to this in modern superhero
We never
media
got
for
it
me.
again.
And I just think that's why like it was so good. And like just some of the lines, the why so serious.
Yeah, like name me one actor who played himself out so well.
Yeah,
Like his last, like this broke him.
literally.
And like, you want to talk about method acting?
This was it.
This was it. Like Heath Ledger went from like A Knight's Tale to this, and like holy.
And-
Like if you're gonna be known for one final movie, this is the one to do it.
Yeah. Heath Ledger's Joker gives the greatest advice in movie history, where when he's saying to the mob, yo, it's easy. How do you guys not kill Batman? And he's like making fun of them. And the guy goes, well, if it's so easy, why don't you go kill him? And he just says instantly, just goes, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And I use that line all the time because it's such true.
Yeah.
It's so good because we're talking about an evil clown mobster. There's still a message in this movie, bro.
Yep.
And also too, like, I can't talk about this without mentioning one of the best quotes in movie history from Harvey Dent, where he says, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself
Oh my
become the
God,
villain.
which is like meme quality now.
It's meme quality, but it's
I just
so
want to mention when
good.
he's in when Harvey Dent's in the hospital and like Joker's wearing like the nurse outfit. How did Harvey Dent not know? He's still got the white face.
He's
paint.
delirious,
He's
okay?
got green. He's got like green and like blonde hair. He's like Joker. And then also when he was trying to blow it up and he kept hitting it.
Yeah, that's
that
real.
was actually happened because
Yep.
there was a delay. So when it finally blew up, that was his live
like,
reaction.
"Oh."
He's like, oh,
And they just
yeah, and he just keeps walking. Like it was so good.
It's one of the greatest movies of all time. I recently rewatched this. Well, if June is recent, then in
That's
June.
right.
Yeah.
I counted a year and a half ago as recent.
Yeah, so I watched it back in June. It's just a fantastic film, and it's one of those movies where I actually like if. It's not to sound like weird or sentimental, especially on my birthday, but I hope in my life that The Dark Knight is the last movie I ever watch. It's like if that could be the only movie on earth, it would be that
Want
one.
to see a magic trick?
But seriously though, like it's one of the best movies ever. I would say that Episode 3 and Inception are my top 3 ever. I kind of just flow in rotation depending on the day.
No Muppets involved in that I see.
But yeah, I just had to.
Can we
I
get a
had to
Muppet
bring that one
Batman?
up.
Can you imagine a Muppet? Can you imagine how funny that would be?
That would be sick,
That'd
yeah.
be so good.
So you know what? I think we should just remake every major movie and just make it through Muppets.
Muppetfy it.
Literally.
Like, you want to make a new movie? You give me Muppets with Star Wars. I'd watch that.
That
It
would
could
be
be
sick.
terrible, but it's supposed to be. That's the point. You can get away with it.
Yep. I will say, when it comes to sequels, the one shout out that I need to do mention, And I'm a bit early, but I feel like if you ask me this question again in a month,
I'm feeling gotta go fast.
I think Sonic Movie 3 will be on this list in about a month once
Wow,
it comes
okay.
out. So then I'll die on that hill. You know, I feel like genuinely, no trolls aside, in a month once I see that movie, that will be like probably like top 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all we got
all
for
we got,
content today.
Yeah.
Any last minute thoughts before we go out?
If you take anything away from this, if you're a future director, movie writer, I don't care what you are, if the movie makes sense and you can think about it being Muppets, do so. Muppets make things better.
Amen to that.
Also, I gave Justin a score of A+ because his were all fantastic.
Yes. Before we go out, Evan, thank you again for taking today. Could not have done without you. Thanks for all that you do for us for the show. Any last thoughts from you?
I didn't grade either of you, but hey, you did pretty good.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Muppets.
Yep. I will say before we go, thank you again, Eldin. I know you always do that. I have to be here, but thank you for being on.
I'm very happy I was here.
Yep.
Again, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
I couldn't think of anywhere else I'd like to be on your birthday.
Thank you. Oh man, I'm gonna start crying. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Real quick outfit inspo. So I went with the Randy Moss Patriot jersey today. It's not the Vikings, but Randy Moss at the end of November on Thanksgiving week. You can't go wrong. If you know, you know.
Mine's gray.
Amen to that. Noah Gray, Chiefs tight end. I think Evans is also
Evans
gray.
is also gray?
Evans is also great.
Hey, we're matching.
Okay, even better. We got Meredith and Lexi Gray.
I'm wearing jeans.
Me too.
Hey.
Spider-Man me. And yeah, you know what? It is fitting that my birthday this year falls on another wonderful FNF Friday.
Oh my God.
So make sure you guys go and enjoy. If you're watching this and you're seeing this part, just do something fun for me for FNF Friday and for my birthday.
Well,
so
watching screen chat's fun.
You're right. So there you go. That's as Edward Elric would say, that's the law of equivalent exchange. So I think we'll leave you guys with that. I think that's how that works. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But we'll leave you guys with that. So thank you guys so much for watching Screen Chat. I've been Justin. That's been Eldin.
I am Eldin.
Whoa, I am Iron Man.
I am the law.
That's been Evan behind the scenes.
I have been Evan behind the scenes.
Nice. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this great episode of Screen Chat. We'll catch you guys next time live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.